Welcome to Beyond the Code, the podcast where industry experts and brilliant legal minds discuss the impact of new emerging technologies. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at Miami Consensus 2026, and this is the first interview of the day. I am joined by a repeat offender here on Beyond the Code, Mr. Mike Bacina himself, and I actually have very exciting announcement today that I was waiting the whole week for Mike to show up for. Okay, really. First of all, a couple cool things. Mike is going to tell you about himself in a minute, but the last time that we recorded a short session, we still have to do a long form one at some point. But the last time we did it, you had just joined NXT Law, but you couldn't really talk about it yet.
It was a little secret squirrel.
Yeah, like you had a T-shirt, but it was all covered up. So now Mike could say that he is a fully fledged, legit partner living in Cayman and leading the conversation there. So if you're looking for work out of Cayman, Mike is definitely your man to speak to over at NXT Law. They are definitely the best dressed lawyers here today at the conference. You can't see John's shoes, but pretty awesome. John, do me a favor. Just stick your leg up here. Come.
The people want to see your shoes.
Yeah. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Not many lawyers here rocking those kind of shoes. So if that's not a reason to work with them, I don't know what is. But some really cool news that I've been waiting to share is I've been doing this podcast for 3 years, and I just do this as a passion project on the side. Never seeked to make money from it anyway. Still not seeking, but never had any sponsorships either. And I am now announcing a sponsor, and the reason I'm announcing it with you is because I did an interview with the founder on the show a bit over a year ago. And after we did the interview, you reached out to him and acquired their software. And he came to me and he's like, "This is the best thing ever. We had this, I like founder stories. You gave me a platform to share my story. I got business from it. And then from what I understand, there's been multiples of other business that came from it afterwards. I'm talking about FirstRead, okay, which is Iran Labs, AI, Harvey style competitor. I use it frequently. I understand that you use it too. I understand that you've also recommended it onwards. So
yeah, we've sent quite a lot of people to Aaron. He's also just a top founder. I mean, he's the kind of guy when the feedback thing comes up and says, "Do you have feedback?" And literally the first time I wrote it, when you give the feedback on the little app, one time I think it didn't work properly. And I was like, I didn't quite give the app what I wanted. And 5 minutes later, there's an email from Aaron going, hey, I fixed it.
No, I literally I had something wrong with a Mac problem, and I DM'd him and he's like, "No worries." 15 minutes later, they had fixed the problem. So
I love working with founders like that who are, there's some rough edges you'll have on a bit of founder software, but you get to operate at that cutting edge. So NXT Law have been using them from pretty much, I think, January last year. So it's also cute to read AI stuff of oh, look at this thing that's come out and go, oh yeah, Aaron's product has been doing that for 18 months.
Like an eighth of the price.
Yeah.
I had conversations with Harvey and Laura,
exactly.
You can't even speak to these guys. And here you get that real founder, you have to go?
No. Someone is coming to meet me.
You get that real personal touch. So I've enjoyed working with them. I know you've enjoyed working with them. And I'm very excited because,
and
they reached out and they're sponsoring the podcast because it's a very good fit from a content perspective. And so definitely looking to get the word out to other lawyers as well. If you touch legal documents ever, this is definitely going to be your new best friend. So reach out, to me or to Iran directly. I'll share his contact details and give it a whirl. It's definitely worthwhile. I would love to understand from you, more broadly, how you integrate AI into your work stream at NXT. And I think it's a lot harder on the enterprise level to implement these things. I know I've spoken, you probably saw the Sullivan and Cromwell thing that came out last week.
Yeah.
But and somebody came over here and he's like, it's malpractice. I don't think it's malpractice. I think it's much harder to make moves at such a large firm. When you're a young startup style firm like ours and yours, I think it's a lot easier to integrate change. But I'd love to hear from you, what it's been changing the way you operate, integrating AI, maybe at a broader level beyond FirstRead.
Well, we're super lucky because coming in Next Law was a rebranding of an existing firm, but we got to blank sheet it and design everything from scratch. So not having any legacy baggage on systems and being able to sort of take an assessment of what's the state of the art and then roll it out is great. But it also means we've been able to be flexible on saying everything's moving so fast, we can try and build our processes and systems to plug in the newest things. And I dedicate the biggest probably difference I think we have is I dedicate a chunk of each week, and it's probably 4 or 5 hours, just on trying to stay up to date on what is happening because AI is moving so insanely fast.
Yes.
And even seeing things like FirstRead upgrade as they go and move so they can do more and more things. Even a couple of times when Claude had kicked me out for hitting my token limits, I was like, I wonder if FirstRead would be able to do this answer for me. Oh, it did. So, being able to be flexible there. And I think, you're absolutely right. The top down from the big firms, they're in a very challenging place, but they've always had that problem of technology and the way they've built these firms and grown, the way technology is fit separate to law, and the lawyers have kind of just learned enough to use it, which is still the vast majority of lawyers. Like most of the lawyers here at the conference are very tech forward, but that's a small percentage of a small percentage of the whole bank of lawyers in the world.
Yeah.
So I think people like, the Harveys and Spellbooks and whatnot, there's this top-down push for these big products, which seem very expensive, what they do at the end of the day. And a lot of the guys are getting sanctioned in court for hallucinations. There was one guy saying, oh, but the salesman swore to me it could have no hallucinations. And that's his
plausible
defense.
deniability right there.
I use that as an example now to clients of this is how your marketing and salespeople can get you into trouble, because obviously not immediately, but you can see that he took a throwaway line from a sales guy because he didn't understand the tech. And that's a bit of a problem. So the integration point, I think, for firms is you've got to lift your nerd level up. We're lucky to,
Be at the forefront of the...
Next Law and DLT are very nerdy people. We're all nerdy lawyers and come from a tech side, and a lot of lawyers don't. But the sooner that they start playing with things, getting curious, that's when you can uncover, A, when something might be making a mistake, and B, figuring out how to use it. Because it's so much more like developer coding than being a lawyer. Like using AI inside a workflow, it's quite hard to do it on very, very strict rails.
Yeah.
You have to think creatively about it. And I mean, we use it daily. All of our contract review kicks off rolling into it. And it's a great system.
Literally your first read.
Yeah,
right?
because it's SOC 2 and it puts everything in as an encrypted form. So nobody's getting access to anything and nothing's being trained on any of the models because of that. The way it encrypts it gives protection to be able to do that. Now, obviously, it's just as a matter of course, we de-identify client things, but even for research, it does a pretty good job. I've used it to check, funnily enough, citations and quotes of cases in other people's material. And it's done a good job of finding when someone had the wrong one in there. So using AI to check other people's work is great, but it's still like a very, very literal associate that needs the supervision, or you're not going to get good results.
That's kind of how I fell into it, because I was looking very much to grow our practice and to hire, and I was very frustrated by the quality and caliber of the people that I was hiring. And I shared my frustrations with a good friend who was, I think, like one of the first users of FirstRead. And he's like, I had the same frustration as you, and I decided to double down on AI usage instead. And I basically 30x my productivity at a fraction of the cost. So instead of spending X thousands of dollars a month to hire an associate who doesn't know jack, I instead of spending a couple $100s a month, and I have that associate 24/7, and
that's it. That's what's great about it, because you can get that red line and suggestions, which they're not going to be perfect for the client, but you're not waiting 2 days for it to come back from a junior.
But you can also
similar
have that
to you guys,
conversation.
There's a challenge of talent.
Yeah.
Finding people is hard.
It's a conversational document at the end of the day.
Correct.
Before if you start reading a document late at night and you're exhausted, you just say summarize this for me. Give me the commercial overview. What are the mainly, it's literally could just have a conversation with the document. And that I found it to be a complete game changer. And I'm not saying that because, I have to put in a plug, because like I said, this is a very natural fit for me. This is a product I've been using for over a year, and I know you have as well. And I loved it first, and then and it just seems a natural fit.
And now that some competitors are catching up. You saw Microsoft announce some kind of Copilot legal agent.
Everybody's struggling to
Claude
get
is in Word doing similar things. In fact, we often will run Claude in Word and FirstRead, and they come back with different stuff. Same prompt, it'll come back with different stuff because they're doing some of their under the hood pre-prompting, which is interesting. So, that's what I say earlier about playing with the tech. It's it's a world now where playing with the tech is so important. And it's very interesting how boutique firms now have this incredible advantage they never had before. Because we can, even leaving aside the legal work, we can build our internal processes faster using AI. I'm very, very bullish on all the things we can build with AI to make the businesses better. My jury is still out. I do a lot of playing around with agentic AI as well, but my jury is still out on agentic AI in the legal practice is really hard because when the judgment of the lawyer is so important. And maybe I'm being super arrogant on that, but I think building the rails that try and automate everything but our judgment calls is super valuable right now. Will AI one day do the judgment call by itself? Based on what we currently see, no. Clients send lots of stuff saying, I put this into AI, and here's the answer it gave me. What do you think?
Because in the end of the day,
usually it's wrong.
Which is why I think that the AI is a superpower for the lawyer, but not for the client. Because ultimately a client is doing $100 million deal, or even several tens of thousands of dollars deal, that there's significant risk on the line for them, economic risk. And they're not going to put that all to a query, to an AI, as good as it is. They want somebody that they can look at and say, like, you're a human being, you know, ostensibly this is what your job is. What are your thoughts? And even just that, just getting like that attorney input, I think has tremendous value, and I hope that it will continue to do so. But on the lawyer side, as a first read, as something that will just save time for me, okay, and I know that you and I maybe don't see eye to eye on this, but like I very much don't believe in the hourly billing model. And when you have
you and I agree on that. We do almost everything fixed fee. We love not billable, not doing billable hour stuff because it's been broken for a long time.
Rate, AI is a superpower to you in the sense that like you could do the same thing at a fraction of the time and you could bill more for it.
Well, yeah, relative productivity should go up if you do it right.
I spoke to some lawyers here today from larger firms, or not today, this week, and I was speaking to them about our AI usage, and like, well, we couldn't use that because we bill by the hour, and it wouldn't be beneficial for us to be more.
Yeah, you have a lot of large firms where the bonus regimes for the associates are based on how many hours they do, and so when you bring a technology in which reduces the number of hours they can bill, to be perfectly honest, you're either going to end up with people not using it or padding their time to get to their targets. Because when you incentivize someone to go, if you bill this many hours, you get a bit more money, they're going to get to the number because they're going to work hard. And if you're making them way more efficient, but they're not being given enough work, what are they going to do? And I have heard, anecdotal stories of people saying either they're using off-books tools because they don't like what the firm's doing top down, they don't think it's useful, or they're not using it as much because of that. They go, well, why would I want to be that much more efficient when I'm not being given more work? And so it might be a disjoining point that in 3 years from now, the lawyers have so much more work going on that the problem is gone.
That ultimately, it should just shift the model. Like you could make the same amount of money, but from like a plethora of clients rather than
accountants and Excel. That's still the best example I've seen. Accountants when there was no Excel and it was paper and calculators, nobody could afford to get spreadsheets done except for the biggest companies, and it took a lot of time.
That's a great example.
Accountants did not disappear when spreadsheets, whatever, Lotus Notes and stuff came out, and then Excel. There's more accountants per capita than ever before, and they're doing the higher value work. It's the perfect example when people worry about, AI is going to take my job. You go, it's not. It's going to change your job. It's going to let you do much, much higher value stuff at a better price for people, and that will happen a bit over time. So it will, some clients can come in and go, you can do this all at half the price because of AI. And you go, no, because in many cases, you're checking more stuff with AI. You're actually doing, they're getting more for the money they're paying because you're able to do more. But in some cases, when people are pushing things really hard time-wise, there literally isn't enough time to get absolutely everything done. So this lets you get a better risk management overall. But if the clients are obsessive on a price thing, they should be going into those process tools, which they can try and automate things themselves. But I think you're right. Clients want to move risk off.
That extra time to specialize, to focus on what really matters for the client, not getting stuck in like the nitty-gritty of a document. It's not to say, again, it's a first read. So it definitely saves you time, but in the end, you will read over the document and you will apply your vast knowledge to your ability to look out for the client's best interest, but it will save you a ton of time. Maybe having to save it, you won't have to send it to that associate. You could just
more time understanding the client's business and needs. For a lawyer, or at least from my perspective, means you have a better chance of identifying what commercially they really need. Because occasionally you do have a situation where the client says, I want A, and you go, I really think you actually want B. And they think about it and go, actually, you're correct. And it's only if you really get their business and understand what they're doing,
the time to get there,
you can figure that out. That's right. So I think any efficiency is good efficiency if it's still getting you as good or better outcome.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Like crypto law is fun, and I've had the most fun in my career the last 10 years doing it. But all the AI stuff, it's just fun.
It's tinkering.
Yeah.
You get to like play with shit and
Me and my
figure it
business
out.
partners are real. We're nerds and we love tinkering with it. We like making things
Yeah.
better. And there's some satisfaction in going, wow, the stuff that literally when I did at university, we did by paper and pen is just gone and it's fast. And we're actually doing more interesting things.
Yes.
So it's very much you see the fear out there and there's a bunch of lawyers, but it's a fear. That's always the fear of technology, full stop. And I've seen it in many old school lawyers. So there's a generational shift of the lawyers coming through who this will be native for, and they will just practice law completely differently. But we had a articling student start recently, and we even had to say to him when we went, oh, you articled with us last year, but the way we worked last year is actually completely different to how we're working now. So it'll be an extra
And
learning,
that's awesome.
learning experience.
So if you're a lawyer and you're listening to this, don't be scared, okay? Embrace change. Try these things out. Get in touch with products like FirstRead and others, and get in the nitty gritty. Tinker with them. Figure it out. Make mistakes. It's okay. You don't have to you don't have to go out your first time and write a 600-page brief with it and send it to your client. Just use it in the back end to kind of tinker and figure out how these things work, because this is changing. It's already changed the way our industry works, and if you're not playing with them, then you're just going to be falling behind.
Exactly. There's been more change to come, but that's fun. It's exciting change.
Follow the lead of firms like NXT Law and DLT Law that are not afraid to embrace these changes. And thank you for joining me here today, Mike. I'm looking
thanks so much
forward
for
to
having me.
having that long form episode at some point. But meanwhile, it's good to meet up at conferences.
100%. Appreciate it, my man.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about today's sponsor. FirstRead is an AI tool built specifically for lawyers. I've been using it at my firm for over a year now, and I honestly can't imagine my practice without it. I use it as a companion throughout my whole workflow. It runs the first read, literally, of any legal document I'm reviewing. It helps me draft from scratch, and when I'm in a deep, complex piece, I could literally just talk to it. For a commercial lawyer, that's invaluable. But here's what really made me want to work with them. They're a small startup and they care, like really care. If you have an issue, you can get the founder himself in your DMs and he fixes it in minutes. Oh, and the pricing, way more accessible than their competitors. If you want to give it a whirl, head over to firstread.com/sign up and make sure to use BYND, the code 10 at checkout for an additional 10% off. If you do try it, please reach out to me and tell me what you think. I genuinely love to hear your experience.